If you have a medical condition that your doctors haven't been able to help you with, this episode is for you. I'm super excited about this episode because it is the first time that I have a conversation with someone who used RTT, Rapid Transformational Therapy, to actually heal a physical medical condition. My guest is Maia Holmes, and in this episode, she reveals her remarkable journey overcoming PMDD, Premenstrual Dysphoric Disorder. If you're struggling with PMDD, hormonal issues, chronic low self-worth, or simply feeling stuck in your personal or professional life, Maia's story demonstrates how addressing the root causes in your subconscious mind can create profound healing where traditional approaches fall short. Let's dive right in. All right, welcome back everyone to the RTT Experience. Maia, welcome. I am so excited to dive into your story and find out everything about your journey so far. So, how did you hear about RTT?
Oh, I heard about RTT about over a year ago now. My mother had sent me a podcast to listen to, and I heard it, and I heard the podcast, and I thought it was really interesting. At that time, I had been struggling with an issue, actually, which is why she sent me the podcast. But it was around a thing called PMDD, which is something I've suffered from my entire life. That is called Premenstrual Dysphoric Disorder.
Okay.
Which is basically a very, very, very severe period. It's like 4% of the population suffers from this, but can be very debilitating. I mean, your quality of life is terrible. It causes suicidal ideation, severe depression.
My goodness, I don't think I've heard about this before. What's it called again?
PMDD.
PMDD, okay.
Yeah. And I've suffered from it ever since I got it, period. So it's been a lifetime of having, on average, about 10 good days a month, average, my whole life.
Wow.
I honestly thought that every woman, was normal. I didn't ever really ask anybody else. I thought this was literally a normal thing. You just don't discuss it.
Right.
And when I would go to doctors and try to get help because of this, they would gaslight me or tell me, oh, it was a bad period. Sorry, sucks to be you. Here's some birth control pills. It was just very, the medical industry for women is terrible, unfortunately. So,
yeah.
I slipped through the cracks and never got treatment. Now, this podcast that my mother had sent me was about specifically PMDD. And the woman that was speaking on the podcast, her name is Natalie Herbert Ryan, and she has a program specifically for women suffering from PMDD, and it's an RTT program.
Okay.
So I heard what she had to say. I thought it was very interesting. Honestly, I was at my wit's end with it. I was at my last stop. Like, what am I going to do here? I've gone through every single thing you can go through. This is crazy. So I decided to buy her program. But she has an online system. You can buy it. There's prompts, all of these things. And so you get about 2 to 3 RTT sessions when you buy this package she had. I bought it. I immediately went into another room. I did the first section of the program, and that was my first hypnosis RTT session. And when I came out of that room, I felt completely different. I was a changed person. And my mom even said, "What? Oh my God, you look completely different." And I started getting comments from people when I walked around, even after I did it. But I had no idea that this kind of treatment or therapy would be so effective. I mean, I am blown away.
So when you decided to make an appointment and have the session, did you know it was going to be hypnosis?
No. I mean, I did a little bit because of the podcast conversation, but, I can be a little skeptical sometimes about things. If I don't know about it, I'm like, well, let's see. I don't know about this. So that's kind of the attitude I went in with. I was like, what? what do you mean hypnosis? Like
had you ever done hypnosis before or seen it? Or?
I'd seen it before, but I had not. Maybe I had slightly with therapists throughout the years, but nothing as specific as this.
So maybe it was a good thing that she didn't mention that it was hypnosis. You just went thinking it was a therapy.
And you know what? I knew it was hypnosis, but I was like, in my brain, I thought, how is this going to help? What are you talking about? How is hypnosis going to help this medical issue?
Condition,
with
right.
A gynecological issue? Like those two things did not connect to me. So I was curious to see how this was going to work.
So now I'm curious, how did it work?
Well, so after the first session, there's journal prompts, and I answered those questions. She gave the hypnosis recording that you listen to for 21 days. And once I started that, everything changed. And I actually listened to it for about 65 days. I still listen to it from time to time when I feel like it, because it's a beautiful recording. And I mean, everything's changed for me.
What tangible results did you see, like right away?
My mental health. I was no longer crying. Had been crying uncontrollably for weeks at a time. I was unable to stop crying. I was so depressed and sad.
Oh.
I have not cried since then. If I have cried, it is because of something has made me cry, not because I'm just a depressed person. It is like I have motivation, I work out, I've lost weight, I eat better, I treat myself better. The words I use to talk to myself are completely different, completely the opposite of the way I used to speak to myself. I am so cautious and careful of my thinking and my thoughts, and I catch myself in things all the time. And like if I say, oh my God, you're stupid, but I'm like, no, I'm not. Made a mistake, silly Billy. I changed the words up.
So you're more aware of that inner voice, the way you speak to yourself.
Much stronger. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm like, oh, this is the person I was supposed to be this whole time. Not realizing what the actual core issue was. And, the RTT session helped me realize and pinpoint what the core issue was. And I thought that was not an issue for me. And, looking at, if I could see it on a piece of paper, I would say, oh, no, I'm fine. I don't need help in those areas. And I evidently was way behind the ball there and didn't realize that I wasn't as strong as I thought I was.
Okay, so as you know, I'm so intrigued by it. I'm actually going through the course right now. And I'm very curious about so without getting too personal, if you can, I know you go back during the session, you regress back to scenes of your past that are typically related to that, connected to that issue. So without getting personal or anything like that, when you regress back, were the core beliefs related to, was it something, did you have an aha moment? Were you completely surprised?
Yes, I was shocked what came up, because I thought, well, okay, we're going to go back and do 3 scenes, because I read about it before, you do the program, and I thought, oh my God, I wonder what I'm going to think about. And I thought I had 3 scenes in my brain. I'm like, oh, I'll probably end up talking about these 3 things. No. Everything that came up was something that I didn't even remember in my waking life. Like, I couldn't tell you about those memories now, but they came up during the session. And for me, the part that links it is when there's a technique called left hand, right hand, and where you take all of the scenes that you have just brought up during the session and you're relating it to the issue that you brought to the table. And once I did that, it was like kapow. I mean, the aha moment was so huge, and it felt like someone just came in and took off like boulders off of my head, my shoulders, and everything else.
See, that's the part about this therapy that has me so intrigued. So, because the subconscious brain is just so mysterious, I guess. Like, I can't, like, in my thinking brain, I come from an engineering background, so I'm always very analytical. I think things through. So when you go under hypnosis, it's so bizarre to me. I'm still trying to grasp, and that's why I do these interviews, because I want to really get to the core of what those core beliefs are and how they change when you are under hypnosis. It's just mind-blowing to me.
It really is. I find that, learning about neurolinguistic programming and learning how the mind works and what it attaches to and what it doesn't, and, knowing like we're having this conversation, right? But I like to work in analogies. It's like we're talking from the front of our brain to each other. Okay, logically, I'm answering your questions.
Right.
So we're having this engagement. However, we all have a back door. We all have this back door, and that is where all the subliminal information comes in. Everything that we're picking up around us, the things that you aren't saying that I'm picking up are going in back here. Or maybe something I overheard you say, that went in back here, but the actual communication for us is this way. Now, when we leave one another and go about our day, if I did a regression, I might pick up 10 things that I wasn't paying attention to while we were talking.
Wow, so that's just so amazing.
Yeah, I think that when RTT gets you in the back door and goes, hey, this front door is where we put the mask. We present ourselves in a way to make ourselves seen correctly to whoever we're with. That can be very changeable and malleable. But what's happening on the back door isn't. That went in and it stayed, and it is, making connections and causing you to have thoughts or behaviors that maybe aren't really yours. So why don't we go in and fix it?
So once you saw this transformation for you, did you know right away you were going to now learn how to do this so you could help other people, or how did that happen?
Yeah, once I finished the program and I literally did a 180 in terms of my own demeanor, my mental health, everything. Once I got there, and when I was finished with the program, I thought it was like, that was an aha moment. I have to learn how to do this. This is a magical tool. This is the most amazing thing I have ever come across. And I have been in therapy since I was 16. I have been seeking help for this issue for most of my life. And nothing helped but this.
Wow. That was going to be one of my questions. So if you had therapy before, so it wasn't like you had never in your life and then you had RTT.
I'm a big advocate of therapy.
So what would you say is the main difference between the therapy you were doing before and then what you saw with RTT?
The therapy I was doing before, and I saw many different kinds of therapists throughout the years, it's talk-based, right? So I'm coming in, they're sitting in their chair. So what do you want to discuss today? They're asking me what I want to discuss, what's on my mind, and then I just start verbal diarrhea of my problem or complaining about who it is or what the issue is. And the therapist is going, okay, and how does that make you feel? They're asking me questions, but you just kind of have the same conversation year after year, month after month.
And how did that make you feel? No, I'm just kidding.
That is exhausting. And honestly, after some time would go by, I'm like, well, I guess my work is done here. And I would leave the therapist because I'm like, well, I guess they helped me figure it out. I think if someone is a talker and it helps for them to work out their own mind by talking, which it does for me, therapy can be helpful in that way. But I think if you have other things going on and you don't know what those are, the therapist definitely doesn't know what they are. RTT is the best way to get in there, to see what it is that's causing.
And get it out and fix it, right?
Yeah, and maybe it's, you're overeating and you don't know why, but you get, your personal trainer, you're eating well, you do all the things, but it's not happening. Well, there's some belief going on that's stopping.
So I never did therapy of any kind before, and one of the reasons was because I feel like what was in the past, it's in the past, and I feel like if you bring it up every week, every Tuesday night at 6:00, I feel like you would it's like if you have a scab and you pick it, it's just going to keep bleeding and bleeding, and you never let it heal. So
Right.
I never really tried anything else. But when I heard about RTT, how it's so fast, like you don't have to keep going there once a week for months, for years, living this thing in the past.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, that's the kind of therapy. If I was going to do any kind of therapy, it would be something that you go in, you get it fixed, and you're out.
And you're out. Yeah. No, I wish I had learned about this when I was in college or high school. I mean, I would have been all over it.
Right.
I think this kind of work, especially for teenagers and early young adults, I think would be so beneficial, especially in the world we live in now. And, I can see how a lot of these kids there's a huge disadvantage because of the parenting that's been gone on, or because of, resources, access to things, just the way the world is now. And I think a lot of the stuff is getting overlooked. So, they don't need to live in a prison of their own minds. This just doesn't, you don't need to live like that.
No. So who do you want to help now?
Well, I have been working for the majority of my career in the entertainment sector, specifically with models and modeling agencies and in fashion.
Nice.
So for me, and I have discovered that, a lot of these people are so beautiful. They're so amazing. But unfortunately, sometimes, you are broken on the inside, or you're fragile on the inside. You might look beautiful to everybody else, but inside you have crippling self-esteem. You have crippling self-image issues, or maybe there are other habits, that you need to break. So I would love to be able to focus on helping talent, specifically because I know exactly what happens in that industry. I know exactly the pressures. I know exactly what happens on set, or, what actors and models are being told by other people, which can be demoralizing and really demeaning to them.
So before RTT, was your background in modeling agency or?
Yes, fashion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I worked in that industry for over 30 years, doing various things, producer, casting director,
Wow.
Agency owner, agent, all kinds of things.
Very cool. So now that you've gone through the training, and by the way, how was that? How was going through the course? How long was the course, and how was it for you?
I loved the course. I actually ended up meeting some great people like yourself. And I stayed in touch with them. And it really, it's a slow going program. I mean, you can go as fast or slow as you want, which I loved. You can do it on your own time. It's an online program. And then I loved the fact that they had so much help available. You could ask people anything at any time, which was wonderful. So I thought it was a great program, and you have about 12 months to finish it. So, you have time. If you finish it, I finished it in 6 months, but some people take 9 or 10, 11. It doesn't matter, but you have a great network. You end up meeting wonderful, like-minded people, and through that you can form a new network to create your own. So
if someone's thinking about a career change, and maybe they've been curious about the subconscious mind, psychology, anything like that, what do you recommend that they do?
Watch one of Marissa's videos, because I watched several of her videos. I actually, what I did? Before I even bought the program, I thought, what is this? I'm skeptical. I went on YouTube and I Googled, I wanted to find out what this was all about. So I actually found one of her hypnosis on YouTube. She does a couple, and I did the whole thing because I wanted to see if I could do it and what it was about, what she was going to say. And when I did that, I thought, oh, okay, well, this is interesting. And that's what took me in. So I wanted to educate myself first. I'm like, well, what am I getting involved in here, and what am I buying?
Did you find a lot of reviews online?
I did. There's tons of reviews.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
There's reviews on Reddit. There's reviews everywhere of people that have done it, and they're mixed. Everyone has a different experience. I find it so funny because I was on a Reddit thread and I saw somebody had asked about RTT therapy, and the comments below were clearly from other therapists, like doctors.
Oh.
And they were saying their opinion about it, and I just thought, they have no idea. They've never done it.
They haven't tried it themselves.
Doctors sound completely ridiculous and uninformed. And I responded, actually, this 100% works. Sorry, your brand of therapy isn't for everyone, whatever. So
yeah.
It was really fun.
I feel like anybody interested would probably want to have a session done for themselves first, and then of course, if they are called to have a career as a therapist, then take the course.
Yeah, and I also would encourage people to have an open mind. I mean, when I got involved with this program, I was in a very negative headspace because I had been depressed for months and months and months on end. So, of course, I went into it like, well, what is this? Where I think another person, if you're at your wit's end with your issue and you don't know what else to do, just go into it with an open mind. It's like, let's try this. Maybe this will work. And allow it too. And I think, I think the people will be really surprised. I think you'll be very, very surprised.
So now that you are done with the training and you're setting up your practice, how much help, first of all, how much help did you get from the training to help you set up a new business? Because I would imagine that's a challenge, right? That's a lot of work to set up a practice.
They definitely give you a step-by-step on how to do this. There are courses, there's they have live sessions where you can ask questions to people, that they have a whole, like how to set up a website, where to get your insurance, how to do outreach, how to market yourself. They have a whole section on all of that stuff. I personally have had other businesses before, so I already knew how to, I'm like,
okay. So you already know the business side of it. That's an advantage.
That big of an issue, and there's so many platforms now that allow you to make things for free. I mean, websites for free and all of this stuff. So, there's so many more things at your fingertips than there were, 15 years, 5 years ago. Hell. So, but they definitely give you guidance there with regards to setting up a business and how to do that. And there's also a Facebook group that you become a member of, and that has amazing support in there as well.
So where are you in the process of building your business right now?
So I have a website already done and ready. I have an Instagram already done and ready.
So we'll share it in the notes.
Yes, yes. Soul Spring Healing is the name of my little practice. I actually have another thing going on. It's going to be working in tangent with that, and it is a wellness retreat company that I've set up with a business partner of mine, and we will be taking wellness retreats in small groups, like 10 to 15 people max, to various amazing destinations in the world. And while you're there, you can get an RTT session.
That is so amazing. That sounds amazing. That sounds like something I want to sign up for that.
Thank you. Well, come on in. And, an offering, obviously you have yoga, meditation, sound baths, whatever else we have. I also do Reiki. I'm a Reiki healer. So being able to offer those things, and it's all optional. You don't have to do it. But I thought, wouldn't it be amazing?
That is so wonderful.
Retreat. You got an RTT session and you come back a completely refreshed, reset person. Wouldn't that be amazing?
That sounds amazing.
So, trying to combine all of it.
So, are you taking clients as of right now already? Yes. Or is
I am open and ready, and I am here for anyone that feels called to work with me.
So, congratulations on setting up your business. That's really, really cool. Let me ask you a little bit about marketing. what are your plans for finding clients? Because I feel like if you're going to start a business, you want to make sure, or if you're going to even sign up for the course, right? Mm-hmm. You want to know that at the end of it, if you're thinking about having your own practice, that you're going to be able to get clients.
Yes.
Right? So what is your, what are you thinking as far as marketing strategy? What are you going to be doing?
Well, I think for me, what's one thing that's always worked well is word of mouth, right? So
that's what I keep hearing. Sorry, go ahead.
Really the best way to go. And that's been for me my whole life. My whole career has been, I get things through people I know, whether that's a relationship, a job opportunity, any kind of thing. It has always come through my network. So for me, I know how I manifest things. I know how things come to me because I've studied it. So because I know that, I try to leverage that stuff. So just putting it out there, making myself visible to those people, and offering a free session, and then they get to experience, and then they can get to go out and talk about it. I have my Instagram now. They have threads on Instagram, so I'm very active on that. I get a lot of people. My Instagram following has actually grown just because of these conversations that are happening on threads. So I found a good community there. So it's been really interesting, and just like I said, talking, posting.
That's amazing. I do hear a lot about word of mouth. So yeah. I was under the impression that there would be a lot of, having to market yourself and paid ads and all this stuff. But apparently a lot of people keep saying word of mouth works the best.
Yeah, I feel like if you figure out your way, if you know what your operational style and what works best for you in business in general, whether it makes some people can advertise, and the moment they put a sign up, it's like everyone comes running. I've tried that tactic. It doesn't really work for me. So some people are the go-getters. They go out there, they're the salesmen, and they do it for everyone. That's not really my shtick either. So I'm kind of the person on the mountain that has to sit and wait for things to come, but that's okay because they're the right people.
But that's good to know that you don't have to be one of these people that are an expert at marketing and putting yourself out there, that just by word of mouth your practice will grow as well.
I think and I'm a big huge believer in volunteer work, and I think if you can put yourself in a situation where you're volunteering somewhere, maybe in a related area to RTT, maybe that's I don't know, whatever it is you're doing, but you're opening yourself up to a captive audience, because that audience needs help, right? That whatever you're volunteering for, usually those people or that group is needing some assistance. So to me, you could literally start having conversations with this audience, mm-hmm. And they might be very receptive to it. That's just a theory I have, but
So I heard you mention something about manifestation. So
yes.
Now I'm very curious. Have you always been able to manifest what you want, or have you applied RTT in any kind of way? Would you be able to help people with RTT to manifest? Is that even a thing?
I think it is a thing because it's a mindset. Being able to manifest something is controlling your thoughts. It is having positive thoughts. Mm. It is thinking about the thing that you want to manifest every day, right? Writing it down, drawing a picture of it. It's knowing you have it, feeling that it is already yours. You haven't got down the road to get it yet. That is where it is. I personally have been very lucky in that I am able to manifest anything that I can think of.
I am always so intrigued when I meet someone like that. So would you be willing to come back to the show one day and just talk us through how you manifest things?
100%.
That would be so awesome.
Yeah.
That would be great.
And I think it's interesting with looking back on my life and all the different incarnations I've made throughout the years. I can see times when I was completely in a flow and manifesting everything, and then I can see things where I'm like, oh, see, you were going against yourself, and look what you were having all these problems. So I don't know. To me, I just love it. It's a fascinating space.
So what are you manifesting next?
So right now, I'm manifesting my dream house, but I am manifesting a wonderful practice, right? And a wonderful lifestyle for myself. So a balanced lifestyle, a wonderful practice, a dream home, and I am manifesting the perfect partner for myself. So
that is so amazing.
All those things right now.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that you will manifest, since you're good at it and you've been doing it pretty much all your life. And so another thing is, I know RTT, you can help lots of different issues with RTT. Are you going to specialize on anything in particular?
I think for me, only because I discovered it through my own RTT session, and I had no idea, like I said before, that this was even an issue for me, and that this is what was the giant, thick stone wall preventing me from going forward in life. And that is self-worth, self-image, self-esteem. I had no concept. I did not realize that was all very poor for me. I thought I knew I had struggled with that as a child, early young adult. I knew I had struggled with those issues, but I kind of thought I fixed it. I don't know. In my 30s, I figured I'm like, oh yeah, I saw enough therapists, moving on. And I didn't. That was just an open, sore wound deep in my soul that had never been healed. And now it has. So because I'm coming from a healed space now, the way I'm looking at things is completely different. And I feel very much in my power and very much able to call my power back to me. And I don't know, there's just very much a sense of knowing, secure, feeling very secure in who I am and of myself. And I think that all comes from self-esteem. And what happens is when that self-esteem is broken or damaged in some way, it literally bleeds out into every single area of your life, and you don't realize it. Your view on money, your capacity for working, what you will tolerate and what you won't tolerate, your boundaries, your relationship style, who you will engage with in a relationship, what you will allow that person to do with you and how they treat you. That is all self-esteem.
Wow.
The agreements you make in your work, you're applying for a job and tolerating treatment at your work, that all comes back to self-esteem and what you will allow. And I'm like, my brain is tingling now even thinking about it, because I thought, I had no idea that one issue would bleed out into 50 different things.
So basically you fix your self-esteem, and everything else, all the other areas in your life are going to
it's not
improve.
It's not that you really have to concentrate. Like, you focus on the issue. And for me, my issue was PMDD. I did not think that was a self-esteem. Those two things did not correlate, but they are. That was the wound I had. So when I would have a PMDD episode, it went right. It opened that wound so big. That's all that was there, if that makes sense. So now when I'm having a cycle or a hormonal, it's gone. There's no weak spot that this PMDD can dig apart and rip apart inside of me. It's gone. So
wow.
It's wild. It's crazy.
Well, I am so glad that your session works so well for you, and I really think you're going to be able to help so many people, and you're going to have a thriving practice in no time.
I hope so too. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you would want our viewers or listeners to know?
I think I would say on two things. I would say, if you have been in therapy for a long time and you feel, some people, you get really comfortable with your therapist and it becomes a relationship you have, right? I mean, I loved my therapist. Some of them I loved, some of them I didn't like. But if you have been doing that for years and you don't really you feel like you've kind of gotten an inch, you haven't really gotten to the core of the issue, try RTT. You don't know until you try. You try it, go with an open mind, just see what you can see. You probably will be wildly surprised at what comes up. And maybe the issue that you think is the issue actually isn't the issue. It is completely something different, and you've interpreted it into that. So I would say just investigate it. Find RTT practitioners near you. We're literally everywhere now. And you can do online sessions. You don't even have to leave your home, which I love. I practice online, so you can stay home. It's private. It is confidential. You know, you can have your emotions and all of that alone, privately. You don't have to leave an office to go out into the world and be crying on the street about,
So when you do a session online, is it kind of like how we're talking right now?
Yes, exactly like that.
Are you able to feel the other person's energy online versus in person? Is that?
Yes. I am, but I also work with energy, so I can sense the other person's. And I'm a very intuitive person anyway, so I definitely can read energy things. I mean, you sent me an email before we even did this call, and I could sense some energy coming off of your email, and we talked about it previously, and I was correct. So, these kinds of things really are like my extra antennas that help me connect with someone.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so remind us again, your website is?
So I'm Soul Spring Healing.
Soul Spring Healing.
You can find me on Instagram as well, Soul Spring Healing. But I know you'll put a link.
I will post a link.
There's a lot of Soul Spring Healing, so I'll send you the correct link for mine.
Yes, we'll post it down at the description for everyone. All right, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us and being so open, and I just wish you the best in and we'll stay in touch so that I can watch you grow.
Thank you, Jenny. I so appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Hey, if you got value from this conversation, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our next episode. Also, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And remember, a transformation in your personality or in your life does not have to take months or even years of therapy. I can personally say that change can happen very, very fast. Until next time, stay blessed.